Hi, everyone. It's Thursday night once again here in New Jersey. And good morning, Manila. Welcome to another episode of Getting Candid with Rochie. So, tonight is a special night because we are celebrating Father's Day. And when I thought of finding a guest for this episode, I think there's no other person, well, aside from my dad, who's camera shy, this friend of mine is the perfect guest because he is a very, I would say, inspiring dad, and he's very open, because it's really hard to find male guests because they don't want to talk. I'm sure you can relate. So, anyway, I want to introduce to you our guest for tonight. He's a husband, an amazing dad, a food allergy champion, I would say, on that one, and the co-founder of the Elijah Foundation. Please welcome our guest for tonight, Mr. Thomas Silvera. Hi, Thomas.
Hey, how are you?
Good. How are you back there? What's that? Across the bridge, right?
Across the bridge, yeah. It's been a while. I know. I think we've only been communicating via social media, so this has been a while since we actually been communicating face to face, virtually.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know. It's been crazy, right? Everything is virtual.
I know. Everyone wants virtual now. Virtual. I said, but I want human connection.
For me too, because I miss all the events and like all the big gatherings, but I still a big part of me is still like a little hesitant to go on a big place, but maybe soon, right? We're getting there, right?
Soon. No, absolutely.
Okay, guys, for those of you who have read our description box, we were talking about the loss of a child. And they said, when you lost a child, for the parents, your life will never be the same. And for me, thank God, right now, I haven't been experienced that. And also, I would say for my family, my mom and my dad is still with me. So I haven't even thought of that kind of loss for me. But I know I have a lot of friends who had experienced the loss of the loved one, especially in 2020. All of us experienced that, or in 2021. And I think in this episode, I want to feature the dads or those who have been in the same situation as Thomas. And so with that, if you have any questions, you can write it in the comment section, or you want any reactions, please, we really appreciate it. And we're here to help you guys as well. Maybe we could inspire you, or, we could share with you a little of what we felt. Yeah. So let's get started, Thomas. Yes, I don't want it to be a crying moment because I'm a crier. You know that, right?
I'll try. I'll try.
So before, because I introduced you as a food allergy champion because he's been a very busy and very active member of the food allergy community. So before food allergies, who is Thomas Silvera?
Oh, wow. I guess before food allergies, I can kind of go back. I'll go back kind of into my childhood in a little bit. So I was my family, we were raised in very poor neighborhoods and everything. But I was born a premature child. I'm a fraternal twin. In case no one didn't know that, I have a fraternal twin brother. We were born premature. I was 3 pounds, 5 ounces, and my brother was 5 pounds, I think he was, or a little less. So growing up, we suffered a lot of respiratory issues, seizures, as a young baby and everything. So we grew up and being early diagnosed with asthma at a very young age, in and out of hospitals pretty much up into, I think, into my mid-20s. So this, asthma was it played a big part of my life, and learning about asthma, and just, it stopped me from doing things, especially when it came to my education. It held me back. but we kept moving forward. And I lived in a hospital from age 12 to 19. I was like inpatient for a while, then I was outpatient at the same hospital up until 19. So I went to junior high school there. I went to high school there, graduated from the hospital. The hospital was in Valhalla called Blythe's Children's Hospital. So, it was a hospital for.
I think we got him out. Let's see. Thomas, are you there? Okay, I think we just missed him. So, guys, I know we are waiting for him to come over. Okay, let's see. Okay, so I guess we're having some technical issues right now. So I just want to say hi first to one of our commenters. There you go. Hi, Allergy Dragon. Yes, it's Martha. Hello. Hello, Martha. Thank you for watching. And for those of you who don't know, Allergy Dragon, she was one of our guests before because she is the allergy chef. Yes, she is one of those amazing friends of ours who do allergy-friendly dishes, and she just have a blog as well. So while waiting for Thomas, guys, I just want to let you know, this Father's Day is a very special one for me because I haven't had my, I haven't visited my dad in a long time. So I'll be surprising him with some live videos on Sunday, Manila time. So make sure say hi to your dads as well, because you never know, right? So I think we're back. There you go.
I mean, technology it's great, but at the same time, it has its flaws. You think you have the best internet service, but then it drops out.
Yeah.
I guess they didn't want me to tell my story.
No, we wanted to. That's an intro.
Yeah, so living in a hospital and everything, and then fast forward. I was in health and fitness for a very long time, for about 15 years. I managed health clubs. I did personal training for a while. And I made a shift in my career in 2015 because the place that I was working at, they went out, they were laying off people and everything. And I said, I wanted to do something different. So I went and I got my associate's degree to become a certified surgical technologist. And so basically what that is I know if you're familiar with this, I go into the operator, and when you're scheduled for surgery, I'm that person setting up all the surgical instruments, and I'm that person next to the surgeon assisting him with the instruments, sometimes like retracting or helping with sutures and so forth. And I also did first assist as well. So that was a big part of me and everything. But when I graduated in 2017, I was working in the field, and I was excited, and I had my whole entire mindset to move forward, and I wanted to go in to be a surgical PA. So I had a lot of aspiration of what I wanted to do until I got hit with like the most tragic thing that anyone could ever experience in November of 2017. That changed my whole entire outlook in my life. Like I'm Thomas. I'm funny. I'm fun. I'm loving. I love interacting with people. But when your life stops at that point, is like, how do you get that all back?
Mm-hmm. And yes, I'm going to ask you about that. And guys, will just make sure you wait, because yes, he's going to talk about that thing. So anyway, I know that, you also have, your children have food allergies as well, just as mine. So what was your first reaction when you learned about their allergies?
I'm also a food allergy person as well. I have multiple food allergies, not just to food allergies, but also to non-food allergy specifics. So I'm allergic to almond, shellfish, aspirin, ibuprofen, iodine. So those are my allergies. So finding out that they had food allergies, I was concerned because I'm like, I really wasn't managing the way that I should have when I'm growing up. Although I know how to use an EpiPen and everything, but I never carried one. So that was my thing, because avoidance was the big thing for me. I was like, I'm not just gonna eat anything that contains any of this or take medication that contains that. But with my kids, it was a totally different game changers. With Sebastian, 6 months into breastfeeding, he started rejecting his mother's milk, and he looked so lethargic and everything. And when we took him to his pediatrician, it was like, he's allergic to milk. He's allergic to breast milk, and he's allergic to cow's milk. Do not give him any of that. So then we put him on a special formula called Nutromogen. And the minute we gave him that, his whole entire energy changed and everything. So that's where we started the avoidance of foods. And then we found out he was allergic to peanuts. Found out he was allergic to peaches, eggs. He couldn't ingest meats or anything. So all those things that at that point I loved, we got rid of all. And my wife, being a healthy eater as well, she's more plant-based. She's always been plant-based, all her life. So it's almost like my son had to adapt to her eating lifestyle, and, so we took out dairy, we took out peanut butter, my two favorite things at the time. Yep. And, and then we were able to manage through that, And when we had Elijah, he had undiagnosed respiratory disorder at a very young age. It was like during his first reaction of food allergies, he also rejected his mom's milk, put him on a different formula. He was actually on Similac soy at the time. And then we find out, just feeding him breakfast, oatmeals and grapes, and he had an allergic reaction to grapes. Instantly, going to the hospital, being inpatient, and then being then I remember him having a cold and having respiratory issues, and taking him to the hospital, and it was like, oh yeah, he has undiagnosed respiratory disorder, so we're treating that as asthma, because for some reason they don't say asthma at such a young age. So we're still treating it with the anti-inflammatories, the steroids, with the inhaler, with the albuterol, and finding out that Elijah had even more and more allergies, like just discovering on and on to eggs. It was multiple food allergies. It was insane. So more avoidance we had to do. So that means like me changing my eating lifestyle, my wife adjusting to some of the things that she can't have, even though they're plant-based, we can't have that in the house. So multiple food allergies from both our sons. So managing that, it was interesting because we didn't have an outlet like what I know now. Like I went to my pediatrician, no one told us, hey, there's these organizations that has a bevy of information that can help you, or they have these allergists in your neighborhood that can help you. None of that. We had to travel to the Upper West Side in New York to find an allergist that will take his insurance. But then there was the wait period for that. So it plays a lot in community, especially when it comes to food allergies and health insurance. Although we were middle class, but we still lived in one of the areas in Harlem that was very underserved. So it's like, we don't have that outlet, that type of resource or health promotion, or our pediatricians are not providing us. Even the allergists at the time didn't provide us with that information to give to our kids. It's like, hey, there's this organization. We didn't know that. And then we decided, even, before everything had happened with my son, we decided we were going to start an organization. We wanted to do something for our community, and then, tragedy strikes. Yeah. And, that just changed everything. And, I remember the first time I had an epi, my son, because of an allergic reaction, that's when we knew that we had to start educating our community, because I know there's a lot of children in the underserved community that has family that, that they, these children have food allergies, but the parents don't have that access.
Yeah.
So, and that's why we're doing what we're doing now.
Yeah. Actually, that is a very interesting point, because as you can see, you're a man of color, I'm Asian. food allergies is not a white person's disease or not a rich man's disease. Because most people say, it's only for white people or it's for only the rich people who had allergies. That is a very, I would say, very wrong thinking, because food allergies doesn't choose your race, your age, actually even your age.
Absolutely.
So it is very important to know. And the reality is, like, for us Asians in particular, most while we are aware of food allergies as well, you know, when I started, like, 10 years ago with my children's allergies, we don't really talk about that.
Mhm.
Because as parents, or, you know, we were as a culture, we only talk more about the children's achievements, that, you know, they started reading at the age of 2, or, you know, memorized the multiplication table at 3, you know. But
Yeah.
but if you have to talk about your child having allergies or asthma or any, I would say, disease or illness, you don't want to talk about it, which is, I think, is really sad, because that's the thing, or that's the time that we really need the support.
Yeah, no, culturally, you know, growing up, even in especially in a Hispanic, I'm Black and Hispanic. In Hispanic culture, you know, you're like, that's nothing. Just keep feeding him that, you
Mm-hmm.
know, and you know he'll grow out of it. It's always he'll grow out of it. They'll grow out of it. But in actuality, you're doing more harm because you don't know the science behind it. You know,
Mm-hmm.
especially growing up. I grew up in the late '70s, '80s. Listen, there wasn't really science back then for it. You know, like OIT wasn't a thing. That was something that it was something, I think I mentioned this before. It was something that a parent would do, will feed, you know, little increments of the food, because that's what, and they took exactly what the mom will do and they adapted it into science. So
Mm-hmm.
in different cultures, they've done that. But, you know, Hispanic cultures, Black communities, Asian, you name it, culturally, this is not something you want to hear. Food is communication. Food is
Yep.
love. Food is home. So if you don't want to eat that, it's almost like a sign of disrespect in a sense.
Exactly. It
So
is
it's like if
disrespect.
you don't eat it, you know, it's so hard to do. And that's why we have to do so much when it comes to culture and the food allergy and asthma space. We need to have that understanding of community and culture and bring that to the forefront with the health promotion, especially bringing it into the community and bringing people who understand the culture into the
Mm-hmm.
community. Someone who is of likeness of you or me, that, and then we'll feel comfortable and be more trusting in that space.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so we have a comment here again from Allergy Dragon. Food allergies do not discriminate.
They absolutely
Exactly.
don't. They absolutely don't. They
Yep.
absolutely don't.
So let's go to your story about, you know, about Elijah. That's your
Yeah.
second son, right?
Yes, Elijah. Yeah. um, yeah. So Elijah, yeah, he was a strong boy, very loving, very animated, you know, and you know, just knowing that what he would have become had this not happened, you know, it always bothers me, you know, and because his life was taken at such a short time, and he was only 3 when this happened, you know, and it wasn't even a full week for him at school. You know, you're talking about a couple of days, and then tragedy strikes. You know, and that's why we push so hard on what we're doing. You know, November 3rd, 2017, it's always going to be stuck in my head. It's going to be that ruminating thought no matter where I go, who I'm with, who I'm talking to, that thought is always there. It doesn't, you know, it's PTSD in a sense.
Mm-hmm.
And it's November 17th, November 3rd, 2017, him being at the daycare center, not even a week, being fed a food that contained an allergen that he had ingested, which there was a specific meal specifically designed for him. Totally, they gave him the wrong thing, causing him to go into anaphylactic shock. And And my life and my family and everyone around me's life just changed. And it's weird because I feel like as parents, it's like, did we do something wrong? And we have to keep telling ourselves we didn't, because we dotted all our I's and crossed all our T's. We made sure the facility managed children with asthma or disabilities and food allergies. They had medically trained staff on board. They understood the signs and symptoms. And when you're giving that sign of you can trust them, you have that sense of relief. But when someone fails, they fail your son, they fail you, they fail the community, the educational system, then you just like, you shake your head and like, what on earth just went wrong there? And that's the question up there, because his life, we wouldn't be sitting here having this conversation had something would have been done, if someone understood the signs and symptoms of an anaphylactic reaction, of an asthma exacerbation. There's so many factors that play into that. If you understood what to look for, whether it's external or internal, you will understand what a child is going through. Immediately, if you see that the child is eating the allergen, you're going to immediately respond. Mm-hmm. But when you don't, and you don't really think so much of it, then what does the person do about that? The person won't do anything, because they don't see it as a severity or as an urgency to do something, And then at the time, calling my wife instead of 911, it defeats the purpose of you having a school or an organization or a center that you say you provide these type of services, but you don't actually provide the rapid response that is needed. Mm-hmm. So if you're a parent and you're working in New Jersey and your child is in a location that's in the city, they're going to call the parent first before emergency services. Yeah. And the thing is like, are they doing something to prevent, more and more incidents? So that's like, that's a battle I have to deal with for the rest of my life. There's so much more to this story that, I can't share due to legal reasons, but it's my trauma. It's my PTSD that I'm going to be suffering with. It's always, every day always feels the same. There's no day that's different, but I have to wake up and put one foot forward in order to continue doing what we're doing, in order to create change and do what we need to do to provide the safety for families and children out there in these educational spaces, not just in educational spaces, but provide the tools to communities, to families, to organizations and businesses and restaurants, you name it. We need to have that open dialogue more with these type of establishments about the severity of food allergies and how severe they can be if one little thing that one little box gets unchecked.
Yeah, actually, your story is really something close to my heart, because I would say child number 3, I call them 1, 2, 3, 4. Child number 3 was the first one that was diagnosed properly with food allergies among my children. Mm-hmm. And when he was diagnosed, when he was 3, he was actually, went to a preschool. Wow. And I remember the preschool, it is a small one, and entrusting your child, because at that time we found out already that he has allergies. Unlike my bigger kids, we don't, if you don't know, it's easier to bring them to school. But for him, so when they asked me, and it's also dairy allergy, that was his big thing too. So at that time, when I told them, he can only eat something inside his lunchbox, anything else. And then they were like, oh, we have any activity. If you will have any activity, please let me know ahead of time. And I would say that little preschool was very accommodating, very helpful for me. But, we don't, and it's just right in front of, I would say it was right in front of our local police station. So, it's something about that. But when I heard your story, because most, because that's child number 3 already. So child number 2 and 1 are already in school. Most of the schools are already informed about peanuts and tree nuts. We have a peanut-free classroom, a tree nut, but most don't take dairy seriously or
Absolutely.
other allergies, because my kids are also allergic to soy, to wheat. And they would say it's only peanuts. I said it's not only peanuts.
Yeah.
That is, and that one thing is like, because they were at that time they were almost, well, it's not on, they're not the same age. My child is older, but I've been in that situation where you have a little child with allergies and you have to bring them, and they cannot speak for themselves.
Absolutely.
That's the saddest part, because when we have bigger children, they would say, oh, I don't eat that, or it's easier to say no when they're bigger. But when they're that at that age, it's either they look at their peers and say, oh, they're eating that, or whatever you give them, they have the full trust that you provide for them. And
no, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead.
I was like, when we as food allergy parents, or any parent with a child with a disability, whether it's diabetes, asthma, or wherever it may be, when we bring our child to school, we're entrusting that they will provide the same care as we would as a food allergy parent or a parent with a child with disability, based on the American Disability Act 504 and IEPs, that if you provide these things, it is their responsibility to provide that same trust that you would as that parent in the event of an asthma exacerbation, of an allergic reaction, or of a diabetic shock, or what have it, that you need to provide that same amount of care as you would as a parent. The educators should provide that same thing. But that, I think they don't get that understanding. There's like, I'm just an educator, I'm here to teach. But if we're signing documents and trusting you, and we're providing you with a 504 and an IEP that says, this is what you need to do to keep my child safe, or to provide the academics or the aid that is needed, these are the things you must abide by. The educational system it's a huge system, and it's one that's very complicated. And we have educators that are multiple turnovers and so forth. But at the same time, your educational facility has to abide by the standards that you are telling these parents, whether you have a high turnover or not. You can't use that as an excuse by providing the service that is needed for the child.
Yeah, because I remember, like for me, with my experience being, having 4 kids, sometimes it really depends on the school on how strict they're going to implement things. Because I remember with child number 1, right away on her school, because I would say she collected a lot of schools during her, when her second school, I would say, for kindergarten and everything. Right away, she told, I was asking, oh, what are you going to do for your birthday and everything? Like those little things.
Yeah.
Right away, we got a letter from the school. At that time, that was like, what my daughter is going to be 18.
Oh, wow.
So that was a long time ago, before the food allergy boom, I have to say, or the knowledge on that one. They already said no birthday parties in school. So that means you cannot bring anything from home.
Yeah.
The primary reason for that is not the food allergies, is that they want to make sure all the kids will be treated fairly. Because, some parents can provide like almost everything with a mascot in school.
Yeah.
And then some who, you barely can provide for this, for your child. So they say, birthday party, the parent can visit, read a story, be a story reader for the day with a parent, a grandparent, or whatever, but no parties.
Yeah.
And I know for some parents, I mean, at that time, I still don't know about food allergies because I didn't realize my kids have allergies. For me, it's like, really? I can't do that. For me, it's fine because it's another, it's another thing that I don't have to think about.
Correct.
Because, when your child has a classmate who did this, they wanted something great too. So I'm like, oh, at least I just going to be a reader, like that one.
Yeah.
So, but that is one thing that it never occurred to me. But with food allergies, some parents were like, they're going to make their peanut butter and jelly muffins, cupcakes, the whole 9 yards. And sometimes the hardest part is they don't consider the other kid, the other kids.
It's interesting because I know food plays a part of happiness and joy and birthday and everything. Outside of a child or a couple of childs being allergic to specific foods in a classroom, and just removing food altogether, not only will protect the children or the child, but again, you also got to be mindful of like what type of food is being provided to your kids in general.
Exactly.
Right? It's like if a child can easily have an allergic reaction, but another child can actually get sick off for a cross-contamination to something else that gives them food poisoning and so forth. So those are the things that's like and I know a lot of people who won't like what I will say is like, just get rid of food altogether in the classroom everywhere. It's like, how is my child going to have fun? There are so many different things that they can do to be inclusive altogether without involving food. Do the food outside of that. I think, celebrate the birthday at home, with the food. And you can celebrate it with other activities in the classroom just to keep everyone safe, not just children with food allergy, kids who possibly may have diabetes, kids who may have an issue with ingesting, who has an intolerance to certain things.
Yeah.
So I don't think a lot of those other things are being taken into factor as well. Just remove food in general and come up with other inclusive ideas for the classroom and in a whole. And I think things will be a little bit better.
Yeah, actually, that's one thing I loved about our town, because before my daughters were in the private school and then the school closed, we went to the public school. It has the same regulations, like no birthday parties. Basically, if you want to have your own birthday party, go ahead, but it's not in the school setting.
Yeah.
So the only thing that they always do is to invite somebody special. Read a story on your birthday, or you could be the reader for the day, and make them, feel proud. So that's one thing I totally understand. But, for those of you who might be saying, what will happen to my kid if they don't have birthday parties or they don't have food? Guess what? I have an 18-year-old. She's going to be 18 in 2 weeks. And then my other two kids who are going to be 15. No, going to be 16. See, who's going to be 16. She got a lot of allergies as well, about like 9 allergies.
Wow.
You know what? She's in high school right now. She's been in so many clubs, drama, and everything. Guys, kids can meet up. Teenagers can meet up. Sometimes it only needs a soda or a bottled water. They're fine being together. You don't need to have something fancy food to make them happy. Sometimes I even provide food. Teenagers or bigger kids, they don't care about the food. They keep on talking and the food goes stale. All they need is water to hydrate from talking too much, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. It's nice to have celebrations, but guess what? Sometimes it is really the company that is more important. Especially with children.
Yeah, and I think there'll be a little bit more stricter policies based on with COVID-19 being affected. So a lot of the food sharing will kind of get X'd out of schools in general, just to avoid the possibility of contamination, even in food. So I think that's one thing will kind of be a big thing for a lot of parents, but it's something we have to do. It's a public health issue, so we got to make sure that they abide by the standards.
Yeah, and sometimes it's easy. Just be considerate, because you know what? For me, like I remember my kids before, my oldest one, because she can have peanut butter, and then I was sending peanut butter sandwiches to her to school, and she's just like, one time she told me, "Mom, can you please not send me peanut butter?" And that was pre-allergies, before I found out the other children had allergies. She's like, "Can you stop sending me peanut butter and jelly?" And I'm like, "Why? I thought you liked it." "I'll just eat it at home." Because their protocol before is that if somebody was sent a peanut butter jelly sandwich, they need to raise their hands after eating. Wow. And then the nurse or any assistant will have to bring them, because they were like in second grade and third grade. Bring them to the bathroom and wash their hands before they could touch something else.
Oh, wow.
And I never knew about that because it was my first child. So she's like, I don't like the hassle. Can you just change my food?
Yeah, she's like, I don't want to go through that. Like, just give me something else so I don't have to wash my hands or anything.
Yeah, like just like I don't need to raise my hand because I'm announcing to the world what I got. So it's like I'll just eat at home.
Yeah,
but eventually we didn't have it at home, and she's like, I don't like it anymore anyway.
Yeah.
It's like a burger is better than the peanut butter and jelly, right?
Yeah, I'll prefer a burger.
Yeah, so that was so guys, a little, I know Thomas' story was a little quiet for us, but it's just a background. Elijah, his second son, sadly passed away in his daycare when during his first week of preschool, because they made a mistake in the school that he shouldn't have dairy, but he was given dairy. So that's what happened. So it was a tragedy. And I know for most parents, or even for him, he admitted that it is really a tough situation. And for me, even though I have older kids right now, I still can't imagine going through that. A tiny mistake can be very costly. And going back, I know you said you have PTSD or something. How did you cope with that situation?
To be honest, my coping was actually talking about and sharing Elijah's story. That was my coping. And it's, although it's still emotional, it's, it's a way for me to tell his story and for me to cope and, just share his life and share, what we're doing with the world. And, it's still, and it gives me the sense of him still being present. So that's how I cope. When I'm speaking with you, I'm always feeling that my son is present with me. Or if I'm, doing a blog piece or a media piece or anything that I'm sharing, if it's a PSA or anything, that's how I cope. Is to continue telling his story, continue advocating, continue educating, and creating the awareness, and making sure that we can provide a safe space for children and give a peace of mind to parents. That's how I cope. I want to make sure that these parents, when they drop their kids off at school, they have a peace of mind. If we go into that school, or if we provide them with that information, give them the access via our social media, via email or so forth, or the ambassador program. That's how I cope, making sure that everyone else is okay. Because of, excuse me, because of what happened. That's why I do it.
Yeah. I mean, and for that, we're very thankful, because you know what, in the food allergy community, most people don't take it seriously unless they hear a story, a really, I would say, life-changing story about it. Otherwise, it's just, some people will just treat it as a joke, that you're just swollen, like some, that some people will make comedy skits out of a swollen face after eating something. But it's more than that. It is really a life-changing situation. And, it is a matter of life and death for most of us. And it's not a joke. So anyway, how did the idea of the foundation came about?
We thought about creating an organization, but they didn't really have a name or anything. We were just trying to figure something out. This is before everything happened. But I remember sitting with my cousin Ruben, who is one of the co-founders of the elijahsecho Foundation. Him and I, we were talking, and I was just distraught. Like, I don't know, he was giving me that motivation and just to kind of keep moving forward. My wife was still in her grief and still, just wallowing, and, it was just tragic. And I remember my cousin just came out of nowhere. He said, "Mad." And I was like, "What are you talking about?" He's like, "Mad." And I think it was Mothers Against Drunk Driving. I think Mothers Against Alcohol. I think, sorry if I get it right, if I, getting this wrong, but it's MAD. And he was, And he was like, we need to be as hungry as that and as riled up as she was, and we need to do something and create change. And and that was me putting my foot forward and putting another foot forward and another foot forward. Then my wife, even in her grief, we was like, she was doing research on legislation in New York State and legislation across the country, finding out that there was no legislation that actually had anything in place for daycares and childcares in New York. She was researching all that. Then we connected with organizations to kind of like give us the tools to kind of like, what do we need to do? How can we get this legislation move forward? But with the foundation, it was with what he said. And then my wife's saying we're naming it after our son. So the Elijah Foundation is named in honor of our son, in memory of our son. And we focus on 3 points, which is education, advocacy, and equity for all. Meaning that education is key. Advocacy for legislation, whether it's for us or whether it's for someone else in the food allergy space. And equity, making sure that we provide the educational resource and awareness into communities that are underserved, making sure we reach them, not just through
Okay, another technical issue for us, guys. Let's see. Okay, so while waiting for Thomas, I just want to let you guys know about the Elijah Alavi Foundation. It is a foundation that they started so that they aim to educate schools, preschools, educators about food allergy safety, the protocols, what are the measures, because I know most of us get CPR training or but they are not actually focused on food allergies. So as you all know, food allergies is a situation wherein is immediate. So we need immediate action. So that's one of the things that they do for, there you go. There you go. He's back again. So I'm just giving them a background about what you do with your foundation.
Yes.
So,
yeah. So, what we do with our foundation, we make sure we want to provide the education, create the awareness, and provide the equitable resources to everyone, whether you're in the underserved or in the most affluent neighborhoods. We provide that resource. Working with, we have our partners, Belay, who also has a food allergy app, which is phenomenal. Allows you to share the information with other parents and caregivers and educator. We designed an educational accredited curriculum, which we go into daycares and public schools. And it's not just for daycares and public schools. We can actually train anybody with this program. But we're the very first to get accredited by this accrediting body called ISED. And we have a on the ground education. We go into schools, and we currently will be launching our online platform as of August 1st. So we're able to reach a lot more people on that scale. And, so again, it's like what we do, we want to make sure that, we can provide that access to information, especially for someone of us, like we're Black and Hispanic, we want to make sure that we have a community that knows that we're there for them. We're not just going to be there and, say, hey, we'll provide you with data saying, like, this is what, what's going on. But it's more than just numbers. You have to physically go into the community to actually get more access to find out what's going on and provide the care to the community that don't have access to it, whether it's food allergies or asthma and so forth. So our foundation, we really are passionate about what we do. We are not, I don't want people to just see, us for, see us because we created laws and everything. It's more than just the law. The laws are definitely going to get done so we can provide the protection for young children. And that's what we're trying to do. We want to make sure we can provide a safe space for the children and everything. But it's making sure we can provide that quality of resources that you can get access to. If we don't know it, we'll point them in the right direction to make sure that they can get it.
Thank you so much. So, actually, will you tell us a little more about what Elijah Law is? The
Yeah,
Elijah's
no,
Law.
absolutely. So I'll give you kind of like a provision into the law of, Elijah's Law. I'll kind of like have that up real quick. So the importance of Elijah's Law, which is with the Childhood Anaphylactic Policy Act, for which is requires the Department of Public Health in consultation with the State Board of Education and Department of Children and Family Services to establish an anaphylactic policy for school districts and daycare centers. And it requires the department to create and distribute and make available onto their website the informational material regarding the policy. So the Office of Family and Child Services released a letter this past March regarding the stipulations that these daycare centers across New York State will now have to abide by. So it contains the requirements for the policies, requires schools and daycare centers to notify parents and guardians of the policy. And then over through like the calendar year, we will, go through these policies once a year. And it also requires the policy to be forwarded to each school board of its district and charter schools and daycare centers in the state. So like I said, with Elijah's Law, it has 3 thresholds in terms of access for every daycare to be stocked with epinephrine and auto injectors. So with the Office of Children and Family Services, they are our training program is also a part of their program. And upon completion of the training, their daycare centers can fill out a paperwork that they can get auto injectors sent to their schools at no cost to them. The other thing is education, to make sure for every adult in the school that works in the daycare or public school to know the signs and symptoms of anaphylaxis and be able to treat the children experiencing it, and to be trained by accredited food allergy training like ourselves, like Belay. We have training.webelay.com where we do our training. And also, especially within New York State and across the state, we're also working on providing the equity to make sure that all children in every school, in every neighborhood, whether it's socioeconomic conditions, culture, or class, are safe when their parents drop them off at school. And that is like one of the main things that we are focusing on. And, we're doing it. We want to make sure that we can provide those safe space for everyone. We want to implement what we did in New York. Like we just recently passed the bill in Illinois.
Yes.
So that's huge for us. And it's a new policy. It's a new act that's mandated in Illinois and will be signed by the governor soon. I was told he will be signing it. So again, it's another step forward of providing protection for children in the food allergy community. So it's big, and that's what I just said about Elijah's Law. That's what it is. And then we currently have a bill submitted in Pennsylvania. We're talking about Massachusetts. We have someone talking for California, Texas. We have so many states that we really want to get this in. So, the more states that we get this in, the more other states will kind of like take notice and see there's something that needs to be done. So there needs to be actionable action, in order to get done.
Yeah, actually, for those who are wondering, it's like, what is going on? What actually Elijah's Law was a law passed in New York that actually provides those what he mentioned, but it's mostly about the food allergy, for it to help those who have food allergies get access to epinephrine and also to have trainings. Because before we didn't, most schools don't, are not really required to have trainings on how to deal with food allergies. And it's a sad situation because it is a life and death situation. It's the same as knowing CPR, but it's like you have to know the signs, because if you don't know, because yes, there is an epinephrine, like what we call an EpiPen or an AccuV, but when do you put it in, or are you going to put Benadryl? Because I know I've heard that so much, because I've been in schools with other children. There are some kids who have had a bug bite, a bee sting, and they started having anaphylaxis. And if you're there, you wouldn't know because it's just a child running around, and then it's not even in their allergy record that they have allergies because they didn't know that they have allergies. So those are some protocols that actually is not we are thinking they should know or schools should know, but there is no law that actually tells schools or educators or even school staff to be informed of that. And that's what Elijah's law is trying to do, did in New York, and now trying to push to different states as well, so that the other kids will also be protected, right? Because
Yeah,
that's
no.
how, yeah, because how that's how you do with laws. It's not like federal right away, right?
Yeah, no, absolutely. Like, federal is a more complicated thing, but going state by state, you have a better chance to kind of like working in that type of timeline. So, like it's more than just food allergies. There's non-food allergy specifics with a child in the school as well, whether it's latex, whether it's an ink from something that may
Yeah.
contain a chemical. There's more than just, although we're fighting for food allergies, but we also got to be mindful of the other allergens that are not food specifics, that having these educators understand the signs and symptoms of an allergic reaction, an anaphylactic reaction, and know how to mitigate and how to act in the event of emergency, it's so vital. And that's why I was like, what we're doing, not just with the law, but with our training, like we go in and we make sure that you feel empowered, encouraged, and you know what to do in the event of emergency, and not be afraid to inject epinephrine into the child. Like people's like, oh, it's scary, it may hurt them, the medicine. Epinephrine doesn't hurt, it doesn't harm. The needle, it's scary from some people, but it's a life-saving device that needs to be immediately injected. Immediately.
Yeah, actually, thank you for saying that about the other things of allergies, because I would say those Play-Dohs or those little things, most teachers don't understand. Yeah, it's a little, for us, it's just a normal toy. But for my son who has a wheat allergy,
Yeah,
that
absolutely.
thing can actually cause a reaction. A few times they have to do projects, and the teachers wouldn't, they don't understand that the Play-Doh contains wheat.
Mm-hmm. No,
Yeah.
absolutely.
So, like for him, he's like, "Oh, we're using this," and I said, "Are you comfortable?" Because he's bigger. He needs
Mm-hmm.
like ask for gloves, or we'll provide another type of dough, like those. I would say, well, how do you call it? This has always
Yeah,
been a
no,
play dough,
there's a
but one,
different, yeah,
yeah, but those thing we can get a different brand, or we can get something else to make the model that you
absolutely.
use for Play-Doh, because
Correct.
and that's the thing, because for my child, thankfully, when it comes to wheat, he could touch, he could touch it and he has no reaction. Maybe just, I don't know, something itchy or this one. But for some kids, I know that the little touch of wheat can also cause an anaphylaxis, and most educators are not aware of the supplies that they use in schools,
Yeah,
right?
it's just common practice for educators to use the simple, materials that are given to them, and it's something that's been done for years. But
Hmm.
now that more and more allergies are more prevalent in schools, and first reactions happen when a child's at school, it's time to be a little bit more mindful of the products that you're providing to the children. Some of these things that are non-food specifics don't really have the actual ingredients listed on them. So you have to do your due diligence and look at your MSDS file, whatever it is that may have for the ingredients or any chemicals that can be listed, or go onto those websites and make sure that there's nothing in there that contains a chemical or a specific allergen that a child could be allergic to. It's a lot of work, but those are the things, we as parents have to do our part to educate the educator on that.
Wow, that is so much, right?
Yeah.
But see, guys, this is what I told you. He is a food allergy community champion, right? And I said it's making life easier, because I would say before you guys came in, I was in the food allergy community. We don't have those.
Yeah.
And you are one of those who are starting to, and I would say for us at that time, I mean, I have a few, I would say my daughter calls it OG, food allergy bloggers. At that time, all we needed is actually to find food or the safety of the labeling. Because at that time, there isn't any food labels at that time, no labeling law. So those are our generation. But I guess the younger, the more recent ones, we're thankful because you are actually making a difference in the community. I mean, right now I've interviewed some of the teenagers who actually help food banks now to stock them with food allergy friendly products, which most people do not think that it's needed.
Yeah, no.
Right? So
I think that's true. A lot of people don't think that it's needed, but it is. You have a community, there's food, that needs to be provided.
And it's very timely because during the time of COVID, I know I got several guests. You've seen them. We had Jake. We have the safety. So if you want to see past episodes, you would see those young teenagers now who had food allergies, who are making a difference in their community by actually getting donations to food pantries that are allergy friendly products. Because, even in times of COVID or in real time, food allergies is not, I would say, a rich man's disease, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So going back, I know it has been a tough time for you as a dad, especially it's Father's Day. But do you have any messages to dads out there who experience the same situation as yours of losing a child?
So any dads out there who have lost a child, it's going to be hard. It's going to be terribly hard. Like I said, there's going to be some uphills, some downhills. I can't negate the grief, but I can tell you it can get better if you apply yourself and have that support system continue supporting you in your journey. And everyone experiences grief differently. I may look different to another person experiencing grief, another father experiencing grief who may be taking it a lot harder. Someone may be a little bit surer than I am, but we're all going to experience this differently. But whatever it is, the loss of a child, just know that, whatever you do it for good. You're doing it for yourself and for that child and everyone else who's supporting you. It takes a lot of heart, a lot of love to keep moving, to keep being strong, to keep being hopeful and faithful. Like I said, I can't tell you how to grieve. And I can just give you some advice that it can get better, with the right support team and the right, your spouse or your loved ones will be there to guide you and hold your hand throughout the whole entire process. It can get better.
Wow, thank you so much. That is very, very powerful. I told you I don't want to cry. I'm the big crier here. Anyway, let's invite our viewers to your coming projects. I know you have a project coming in on August, and would you like to invite them and let them know more about it?
Oh, okay. Let's see which one. So I have I think it's the one I'm talking about is the campaign that I'm joined with. So I have a campaign that's I'm gonna reach out to the viewers and the food allergy community if they want to be a part of it. It's the Be Better campaign, Better Together campaign. It's allowing you to share your voice on campaign PSA platforms to just help raise awareness in the food allergy space. And I'll be reaching out to those in the community. I will be launching it on my birthday. So, just look forward for the Better Together campaign. Next week, there's a surprise post that I'm going to be posting for everyone, which will lead me into working on the Better Together campaign. So look out for that post. We'll be posting it on Monday. So it'll probably be a surprise for everyone. It was a surprise for me as well. This amazing person had reached out to us several months ago, and we've been working with this person. They're amazing. They're a big advocate for the food allergy community. They're also suffer with anaphylaxis as well. And I remember when this person reached out to me, I was like, this can't be true. Like, I thought it was a fake message, but on Monday you'll see the post and you'll know who I'm talking about. But the Better Together campaign will be launching as of August 2nd. We want to hear the food allergy community's voice and, working better together. It's our main focus.
Oh, okay. So thank you so much, guys. So don't worry. I'll be posting all the details and the links of his foundation and his website in the description box. So if you are going to watch this on a replay on YouTube or on Facebook, you would see it in the description box again. And I will also have a follow-up blog post where I will include all the details of his coming activities or projects for the food allergy community and the Elijah Alavi Foundation. Yeah. So guys, thank you so much for joining us. Oh, hi there, Sebastian, right?
Yeah, he just woke up. He had a nap.
Oh, we woke you up.
Yeah.
I'm too loud, sorry. So guys, thank you so much. Thank you, Thomas, for joining me tonight. And those of you, if you have any questions, comments, or you want to reach out to us, you can write it in the comments section, either on YouTube, on Facebook, and I'll try to relay the message to Thomas, or you could reach out to him as well. And as I mentioned, I will put all of our information in the description box, and feel free to reach out because we want to help you guys as well. So again, thank you so much, Thomas.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it. It's been really good.
Yeah. So thank you guys for joining us. I can't believe it's already an hour again. So thank you for this episode. And if you have any questions, reach out to us. And don't forget, if you are on YouTube, hit the subscribe button so you won't miss another episode of Getting Candid with Rochie. Also, like us if you like this episode, and don't forget, share it to somebody you know who would think that they would appreciate Thomas' story for tonight. And with that, I want to say Happy Father's Day to all of the dads out there, biological dads, men who stand up to be dads for their children. I wish you all the best, and thank you again. Good night, loves. Bye.